I don't hear men saying that women are addicted to watching Netflix or scrolling on social media. And quite frankly, a lot of men don't care if you want that or not. A lot of men would rather be with a woman that supports that, doesn't get mad at him for it, because there's plenty of us. For a lot of men, it's how they de-stress after a long day of work, and it doesn't hurt anybody. So many women complain that their man goes to the bar or something, or is out with his friends for hours. You're also going to put down men who play video games too? Where can he win with this? Men aren't making memes about how it's so unattractive when a woman does blank. Suddenly it's considered childish if a man wants to play Call of Duty for a couple hours every so often. For those of you ladies struggling to find a good man, do consider that a lot of good men do play video games. And it's completely harmless. For a lot of men, that's also part of their social life. We also never hear that these same women say, oh, women who play video games are immature or childish. It's only directed at men. A man knows that a woman that's worth building with will support him 100%.
A lot of these women are addicted to these reality TV shows. They're addicted to just pure foolishness and keeping up nonsense. But a man allows you to watch your shows without giving any input. He'll even come in there sometimes and watch them with you. Even though he don't enjoy them, he's doing it to spend a little quality time with you and take interest in the things that you like. But y'all will get on here day in and day out bashing a man.
I have to laugh. I'm sorry. This is so ridiculous.
There are a ton of very valid reasons why a man in his 30s or near 30 might not be ready to settle down. And he has every right to not want to, no matter what it is. He might be building financial stability, paying off debt. If his 20s were really rough for him, he might be barely enjoying life just now. He might be healing from a divorce or even a difficult breakup and may not be ready for that kind of serious relationship just yet. He might see too many failed marriages around him and might not want to get married in general. He may not want to settle and give in to that pressure around him because he knows the consequences of that. He might just want to enjoy his freedom, travel, hang out with friends, do his thing. He might be experimenting with the type of lifestyle he may want long term. He may not be sure just yet if he wants kids and marriage in general, so he's thinking about it so he doesn't end up hurting a woman later down the road who may want those things. Any reason he has is valid. We gotta stop shaming men for doing the things that they want.
You know, once again, you're making very good points. And it's almost as if modern women can see these points when it's them. But when it's not them and it's another man, then all of a sudden, all of the excuses go out the window and he's no longer human at that point.
Why he won't stay friends with you after you've rejected him? He didn't approach you so he could be your therapist or your backup plan. He was clear he wanted a relationship with you. If he were to stay friends with you after that, he knows he would have to suppress his attraction towards you. And a lot of men know that being friends with a woman means a relationship where things aren't equally reciprocated. A lot of women still expect their guy friends to pay for them when they go out to restaurants or whatnot. He knows he couldn't vent to her without being considered weak or less than. And a man who walks away from that isn't bitter. He has boundaries and values himself. He also knows if he stays friends with you long term, he's still going to be sitting there hoping that you're going to change your mind. That conflict eats him alive, and he knows it's not fair to you. And also know in these situations he can pour more and more into you, but it's not going to get him the result he's looking for. Because attraction isn't built on him being patient or him being pitied, and he knows that. Imagine if a man told a woman, I don't want to date you, but I still want you to cook for me and do my laundry. You think you would stay friends with that man? Probably not.
These modern women want men to continue to give their attention and their validation. I'm not going to say I don't understand it, but at least think about it from the man's side. Well, this man who likes me has to continue giving me something while I give him nothing. You're going to call it a friendship, but really it's just you emotionally dumping on him day in and day out, and he's the one paying. Imagine a therapist paying their clients for their clients to bring them drama, tension, headaches, traumatic experiences. That stress the therapist out. Imagine that. But that's the position that they put men in. I'm going to emotionally dump on you and you got to pay for our dinner.
Men don't change because they love women. They change because they decided that on their own. You should be dating for potential. This whole thing is just so toxic. And saying a woman is always a reflection of how he treats her completely removes any responsibility from her behavior and actions. There are a ton of men out there who treat women with respect and love and care, only to get entitlement and disloyalty and just overall chaos in return. Adults are supposed to be accountable for their own choices. And if she's toxic, sometimes that's just an indication of who she is as a person, not the way he's treating her. And no one forces you to ignore the red flags, to ignore the inconsistency or the overall incompatibility between the two of you. So dating for potential, that's a choice. Healthy relationships are built on who the person is and not who they could be, because that's not guaranteed in any way. This is just another one of those like memes that encourage women to completely avoid accountability in their relationships.
You're asking for accountability from modern women? How would they maintain that they're right? How would they maintain that their gut is always right? If their gut is wrong 50% of the time, then that would give them icky feelings, and then they would have to change. Most modern women don't want to do that.
Let me get this straight. You can share your private parts with them, but you can't share your phone with them. You can't share your socials with them because that would be an invasion of your privacy. But your private parts and your energy, that's not too private for you to just be sharing around.
I mean, you don't have to share those things either, especially with someone you don't know very well. And also, when you do that, there's consent. If your partner helps themselves to your phone all the time whenever they want and goes through messages to your family or even your journal, if you have a journal on there, you may not have agreed for them to see all of that. And even in long-term committed relationships, you still need to have some level of privacy. And some women convince themselves, oh, if I could just go through his phone, I would feel better about the situation. And then they do it, and it doesn't help how they're feeling because they're not addressing the root of the issue, which is their insecurity. If your partner has never given you a reason to not trust them, then you shouldn't be going through their phone. And I'm not talking about those moments where you place the pizza order from your partner's phone or something like that. They agree to it, you unlock it, and you get in there to do that. I'm talking like you're digging. You're reading all of the messages they have between their friends and family. You're going through their journal or their search history or anything like that.
You said insecurity, and that's exactly what it is. They'll go through the phone and they're looking for something to be wrong. And when you go looking for it, you just might find it. And when I say you just might find it, I mean you're making up stories in your head and you're causing tension in your household.
He goes, why should I buy you flowers? They'll just die in 5 days. And I said, you idiot. Then buy new ones in 5 days.
The entitlement to this is ridiculous. So what, every week he's supposed to buy you a bouquet of flowers? So what, $50 to $100, $200 a month for something that you expect and not appreciate? And wouldn't you rather this be a kind gesture that he does just because he wants to, not because he feels like he has to? And acting like this doesn't encourage him to buy you flowers. Calling him an idiot, demanding it. Whatever happened to thank you and appreciation?
Dude in the comments said, all very valid points, but for me, I'm the flower clearance king. Most stores that sell flowers have a clearance section because they need them gone. I just grab those for $3 to $5 and the wife is happy. Doesn't always have to be expensive if she's appreciative. That last part you said right there, that's what everything hinges on. Some of these modern women, and I've seen it, have said out of their mouths, oh, well, these flowers only cost $8. You couldn't get flowers that costed at least $50? Okay.
Keep seeing more and more ladies making videos being like, oh, don't get married. And sometimes these women are married themselves. I swear though, one of the most underrated things is being married. Having a husband, but also being a wife. My baseline happiness is so much higher than it ever used to be. And having someone there for you, that loves you, that cares about you, it's not going anywhere. It's such a wonderful feeling. Having someone to plan with and have goals with. Now don't get me wrong, I totally understand why there's so many men who don't want to take the risk and get married. But I'm surprised so many ladies are like speaking out against it. Because when you find a good man, it's the best thing ever.
No, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I just watched a man purchase a Birkin 25 for his wife as a push gift. And if you don't know what a Birkin 25 is, it's a bag that costs about the same amount as a luxury vehicle. Do you know what I got as a push gift? This candle. It says upgraded to MILF. We don't even like candles in this house.
He still went out of his way to get you something. Well, I think those gifts are a nice gesture. They're not required by any means. You could compare your relationship to other people's all day long, and there will always be someone who has more than you. There will also always be someone with less. But a lot of ladies have the tendency to not pay attention to the sacrifices their man is probably making. Maybe he worked a lot of overtime to prepare for the baby. Maybe he was making sure you still had a roof over your head the entire time, paying that mortgage or rent. But oftentimes, these things are forgotten or taken for granted because they're not super noticeable unless they go away. And if men compared women the same way, they would be canceled so quick. And if a man provides for not only you, but your guys' child for the next 18 years, what does he get from that? Does he get some sort of gift?
Someone in the comments said, comparison is the thief of joy. you for these modern women, before I go in too much, maybe she's joking. I'm going to put it on satire. I'm going to put it on she's joking.
If you're seeing a guy and you're wondering how much he likes you, when you told him about Taylor and Travis getting engaged, was he excited? Was he, happy for you, excited for you? Or was he just kind of like, okay, who cares? She's annoying.
What? When men want women to be into football or gaming or cars, it's considered a deal breaker or a problem. He's supposed to be super excited, jumping up and down because some celebrity you like got engaged, really? And I understand in situations being supportive of what your partner likes and what makes them happy. But it needs to go both ways, and you shouldn't hinge whether he likes you or not based on that one thing. And he shouldn't have to pretend he's super excited if he's genuinely not. A lot of women say they want a man that's honest, but then he's not allowed to be honest. And also, a lot of women would consider a man less masculine if he was super excited about someone getting engaged, because that's not usually something that men get excited about. And I think it can be valid either way, but it's worth considering if what you say you want is actually what you want.
These modern women... Really, if men started drilling down on this type of behavior from modern women, they would get their feelings hurt. And they would say, well, what they always say, men hate women.
Stop looking at those girls. As I don't like it.
Who the fuck are you?
There actually is a little bit of truth to this if you think about it, because sometimes ladies, before they're even in a relationship with a man, will already start imposing stuff like this. And heck, in some cases, he might not even be looking at any girl. He just happened to glance in that general direction. But as always, it's necessary to consider how the limitations you might set in your relationships will realistically affect the other person, and whether or not you realistically could uphold those same standards to yourself. Because we see too many situations where there's double standards.
She's right, man. Some of these women out here be making whole think pieces about how they're upset with one of their crushes looking at some other woman when he's in a relationship. He's already in a relationship. He's not yours. The woman that he's looking at is his girlfriend.
One red flag you need to look out for as a man is the woman that pretends she's been to therapy and has spent a lot of time working on herself. One of the most manipulative things she can do. She'll use all the correct terminology and she seems to know what she's talking about, but her actions just don't seem to add up. I talk about trauma and boundaries and attachment styles. But is she using that terminology as a way of taking accountability for any of her actions or to dodge it? Does she emphasize the need for you to be patient with her? She doesn't grant you that same level of patience. You don't get to go around hurting other people and ghost accountability on that and claim it's your attachment style. I've actually seen some ladies do this. Does she use what she's learning as a way of creating some self-awareness around some of the things she does or things she can work on? Or is it always about what you're doing wrong or what you could work on? Because everyone has work they need to do on themselves. So she shouldn't be just calling you out. Why do a lot of women pick the wrong man? They mistake drama and chaos for chemistry. They see that loyal man that's super amazing as boring. And unfortunately, some of the good men out there that bring consistency and they have values and they're willing to put in effort often get sidelined. And some ladies like to pick projects over partners. They say they don't want a project, but then they date projects over and over again. Because they like to be in the role where they're saving the man. Which is funny because these ladies will change the man and then they don't respect him anymore. Or they say that they miss the guy she first met. Or some ladies don't put in the effort and time to heal before they start dating again. So they bring in all the crap from their last relationship, not realizing that that's what caused the breakup in the first place. And then they play out the exact same relationship again because they didn't do the work needed. And some women, they fear boredom. Instead of realizing that maybe they need to pick up some hobbies or change some things about their lifestyle, they just date the first man they meet. And for the men out there that are often overlooked, please realize you could be the best man ever and you would still be overlooked by some of these ladies because until they work on themselves, they won't be able to have that healthy relationship that you would also bring. And this is not your fault.
You know, this chaos, this is how you know modern women aren't actually going to therapy and learning anything. They're picking up on this, their body's picking up on the chaos and they're misreading the chaos for excitement. It stirs something inside. Well, I'm in touch with my emotions. I know how I feel and I know what I want. And I've gotten to this place in my life where I feel like you don't know anything. You need to sit with your emotions and distinguish what that actually is. Is this excitement or is this some sort of fight or flight response I'm receiving from the chaos in my life? They're going to pick the former. Oh, it's excitement. But they never stop to realize this man almost DDT'd me off the top of a roof somewhere. I could have been seriously injured. But no, he just had a moment of weakness and he was upset. He'll do better. No, you need to get away from that man. Period. End of story. They won't do it because this is the type of men that modern women like. 15 years from that point, they'll probably go with an average man, a nice guy. But for right now, I want a man to darn near choke slam me through a table.
Let's be real here, men never get any level of this grace. And then also it excuses all of women's behavior. Again, she's not crazy. Okay, so she can act however she wants and that automatically means she was all these things? Society always has empathy for women's struggles, but never men's. And let's be real here, if a man lashed out, we wouldn't be like, oh, he's just healing. No, we would hold him accountable for anything that he did or said. Why can't we do the same for women? This also paints women as innocent. They're never crazy, they're never bitter, they're never weak. When the reality is anyone can be those things. Whenever men go through something like this, they're told to just man up or stop being bitter, no matter how bad their upbringing might have been. Because society never sees men as victims, they only see them as perpetrators. If we're gonna give women compassion, we need to give men the same compassion. Men could never post something like this. They would be laughed at by everybody. The comment section would laugh at him and call him bitter or toxic or emotionally stunted. We would assume all these negative things about him. If a woman posts this, she's empowered.
She literally said, if we're going to give women compassion, we need to give men that same compassion. And a woman in the comments said, aren't you giving them grace by babying them on your page? Babying them by giving them grace? By showing them respect? By saying, I hear you. I see you. Your feelings, the way you're valid. That's valid. I definitely, well, you got to fix this, but you're definitely valid in what you're feeling. You know, when they leave comments like that, it lets you further know that modern women are not emotionally intelligent at all.
You got married and divorced in your 20s, but you didn't have a child? Girl, the wedding never happened. Wedding photos, AI, fake. Legal documents, forgery, fraud, abuse. This is a witch hunt.
Or instead of pretending it never happened, you can look at it, see where you went wrong in that relationship, figure out what you can do better, figure out what qualities you need to find in another person. That way, ideally, if you decide to get married again, you can have a healthy relationship. But pretending it didn't happen not only hurts you, but it hurts the next person you end up in a relationship with. Just because you were in your 20s doesn't mean you moved on or fixed those behaviors that you originally had. Oftentimes, we repeat the same relationships over and over again until we develop enough self-awareness to see what we did wrong and fix the problem. So, I mean, unless you want to go through like 6 more marriages, I mean, that's if men even want to get married anymore, which they don't, so good luck with that. It's just weird how this logic is.
Honestly, what you're talking about would require women to take accountability. It would require women to look within themselves and say, dang, I really messed this up. But They don't want to think about that. And because they're so young, some of these times, what do you say, divorce in your 20s? Because they're so young, they still think like children. So all they were worried about in the first place was partying, getting a nice little shiny object for other women to admire, getting the attention, being the queen bee of their little social group, and not really much of anything else. I'll put my man chicken nuggets here and there, but I'm not really worried about being a wife. And so I personally think when I get out of this relationship and I try to go into another one when I get older, I'm just going to tell the person I'm trying to get with, it's like it didn't even happen. It didn't even happen. It was just really an anomaly in my life. At that point in time, I don't even know why I did it. I have no idea. But what did you learn from it? Nothing, because I was right in every single situation. And you're going to wonder why that man get up and leave, because you're a walking red flag.
Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be replacing some ductwork.
Nothing wrong with that. And hey, some of those video tutorials are still hard to follow if you don't know what you're doing. Like, I could watch something complicated for my car and not be able to do it, no matter how many videos I watched. And you're still getting it fixed, so what? I think it's wonderful. And you're probably with a good woman that appreciates what you did no matter what. It doesn't matter if you needed a video learning how to do it. And I know this video was supposed to be funny, but I also know there are genuinely some men out there who might feel like less than if they have to watch a video to learn how to do something. And you're not gonna be born that way. You don't automatically know how to fix a car in a house.
I don't feel less than at all. I sat right there fixing my brakes with my phone right beside me. I sat right there changing my oil with my phone right beside me. An air filter, whether it's the engine or the cabin. Sometimes these cars having to change a light, having to try to figure out where you put in the transmission fluid. If you can even do that, sometimes they put that stuff on cars where you got to take it into the dealership. So I don't feel bad at all, and I don't think most men do either.
Why did he stop texting you back? Because if he had to send all the longer messages and you weren't reciprocating, he's gonna get sick of that after a while. Or maybe you're structuring your text messages like it's a job interview. You're asking him how much he makes. You're asking him what kind of job he has. A lot of men know exactly what that means when you're like, oh, where do you work? And I know sometimes that's like small talkish stuff, but can you not come up with anything else? Ask him what he likes to do for fun. Ask him what Lego set he recently purchased or what's the last video game he bought. If every conversation feels like he's filling out a questionnaire, he's gonna bail. Just like you, he wants to enjoy the conversation. He doesn't want to feel like it's a chore that he's doing throughout the day. And are you asking him questions about himself in general, or are you just kind of venting to him throughout the day? Small talk-ish? Are you actually hanging out with him or asking him out? Or are you flaking on the dates that he does plan, and you just kind of want him on the back burner so you can vent to him and friend zone him? Because believe it or not, men notice that.
A woman in the comments said to her, "You are truly so strange." If this is what accountability looks like, then yeah, she's strange. Modern women, they can never take time. They can never take time to think for themselves, to think outside of themselves. And when somebody says, hey, let me give you a different perspective, because after all, you're not the only one that lives on this earth, then all of a sudden the person is strange.
Nothing really to like about men, like when it all boils down. Men are not really likable people.
Yeah, they really are if you find the one that's right for you. I feel like too many women these days are afraid to admit, hey, I would love to have a man in my life. I would love to have a relationship. That stuff makes me happy. That's okay to say. It's okay to want a man. And it's also okay to admit, hey, I haven't made the best choices with my dating decisions in the past. Some of my relationships were kind of a flop, but I still know there are good men out there. I'm gonna meet one day. Having that mentality and then going into your relationships or dates, taking that seriously, treating him good, you would be amazed by what kind of results you get. But when you get bitter and angry, you're constantly thinking about how much you don't like men, but you're stuck dating them because that's what you're attracted to, that doesn't attract good men. You're literally sabotaging yourself, and then you get upset when you can't get a good man, which makes you double down on your beliefs on that. Men, stop ignoring the red flags when you start dating. I know it's so much easier said than done. That little test where she purposely delays responses to see if you'll chase her. That little passive-aggressive comment at something that you mentioned that you really like or enjoy. When you don't write her off after those red flags, you end up being stuck, being treated badly, and you deserve better than that. And at first, maybe it's manageable. Maybe you think, okay, she won't be like this all the time. And the funny thing is, a lot of women respect men who call them out on bad behavior early. Not with like screaming or anything, or threats or anything like that, but with calm boundaries. And I know a lot of men will stay quiet because they're scared or they don't want to write her off too early. But these little things can cause conflict long term for you to deal with. If she crosses a line, you don't have to just laugh it off and deal with it, or hope it gets better. Call it out early and respect yourself enough to enforce those boundaries. Otherwise, one day you'll wake up and realize you're putting up with a lot of crap that you don't deserve to deal with. This unfortunately is so true for a lot of men. Most men aren't purposely trying to hide anything about their lives. They've just learned that when they're actually vulnerable, they get minimized or lectured, or it's even used against them later. It becomes this running tab type of thing. If a man isn't opening up to you, chances are he doesn't feel safe with you. Basically, men are taught at a young age that they need to provide, protect others, and solve problems. And anytime they go outside of that, they're taught that they're a burden immediately. The majority of men have opened up at least once in their life, and they saw the results of that and stopped doing it because of that. Men are in this annoying double bind because they need to be vulnerable enough to build a relationship with someone, but they're too vulnerable. It's considered unattractive. All these mixed messages confuse him, so he just defaults to silence because that's what's easier. If you're a woman that genuinely cares about your man and you do want him to open up, try to not pressure him too much. Leave the door open so he can, and then realize that you can never ever hold it against him. Otherwise, he won't do it again. Show him that you genuinely care about every part of his life. Even as simple as his hobbies, that can make him feel safe in the relationship overall. If he avoids talking about his mother, don't push him. Don't try to force him. Don't pressure him. Chances are he might be dealing with a lot of grief from the mom he never really had, and the version of her he had to survive. Years of walking on eggshells, being told how he can think, how to act, how to be. He couldn't be himself. People probably judge him harshly if he chose to cut her off, or if he's still in contact with her. He probably has some set boundaries. Maybe he's not ready for you to know that yet. And yes, she still might be his mom, but he has a right to decide who he wants in his life. And sometimes people need time to grieve so they can build up their lives and fully heal.
I think a lot of times when men try to bring this type of stuff up, then women will call them bitter and say that there must have been something that was done to her to make her act that way. Oh, you must have done something as a child? Oh, well, maybe not you, but your father. He didn't, but what does that have to do with me? They can't fathom, or they don't want to accept that some of these mothers are just bad parents. They're just bad parents. But modern women, they have this girl code to where regardless of what the woman does wrong, they're sticking with the woman. Why don't y'all hold other men accountable? How come y'all don't check y'all's homies? If men checked men, then the world would be a lot better place. If women checked women, the world would be a better place too. But y'all don't. I've seen modern women sit there and blame the man for what the mom did wrong. For what the mom did wrong, and the dude was a kid. The dude was a kid. Because they can't fathom in their mind a man being good. They can't fathom in their mind that a man didn't do anything. It was her fault. She needed to work through some things. She needed to get some things straight, and she never did. She spent her entire life, or his entire childhood on up to being an adult, being a terrible parent. Modern women won't understand that, and they're not trying to. Accountability.
Are your bedroom needs not getting met? And let me guess, you've brought it up multiple times that she always has a headache or some excuse. And you, being the good man that you are, continue making her life easier, doing all of those relationship things that she loves and enjoys. Maybe you bring her dinner, maybe you cook her dinner, maybe you clean the house. Maybe you keep doing more, thinking that that's gonna change her mind, that she's actually gonna start caring about your needs. Unfortunately, that's not how things work. And every time you bring it up again, every time you do more, you're eroding your own self-respect. And she loses respect Respect for you. I hate this, but it's true. And now we're to the point where you need to protect your own well-being. You need to stop over-giving and under-receiving because she's not... Is she doing anything to improve the situation? Now, if she's saying that she has headaches every day, and she just can't, do you see her actively drinking more water? Do you see her scheduling doctor's appointments? Do you see her taking action? Because she knows how much this means to you, how important it is, that she is now affecting you in this situation. And because she loves you, she is taking action on it. Or is she doing nothing, just using the same excuses every day, or maybe coming up with new ones? You don't see anything improving. The thing is, you shouldn't have to beg for something like this. You're not asking her for $1 million. You're asking her for basic connection. This is when you start to focus on yourself and you're not doing it for manipulation purposes. You are doing it to protect yourself and your energy. Because long term, when your needs aren't getting met, that erodes your self-confidence. Now's for the time for you to stop and start observing her. You stop bringing it up. You stop nagging her about it. She knows what your needs are. There's no miscommunication there. You've already brought it up 5 times. Is she trying? Is she trying to meet you halfway? Has she made any effort? Or is it just effort for 1 week and then she goes back to how she was before? I mean, she's taking a break from the relationship. Now you get to. You need to protect yourself, protect your energy. Because you are worth more than having to beg in this relationship. Stop doing the things in the relationship that you don't enjoy doing. Hang out with your friends, improve yourself, do things that you enjoy. Because unfortunately, anytime you bring it up, you erode your self-respect even more. And it just makes things worse. And of course, at any moment, you have the right to break up with her for this. It's a good reason. But if you want to stay, you need to change things up. What kind of man were you before she started neglecting you? Go back to that. And you're not doing this to trick her or manipulate her. You're doing this for you. To make yourself feel better. Because she doesn't care about how you feel right now. I've sometimes noticed with some women, they like to be pursued, but they just like to tell you no. And they're not sitting there consciously thinking about how that affects you.
So a dude in the comments here said, I had accepted that I just wasn't important to her, but I felt a sense of responsibility as having taken wedding vows. It still didn't matter. Exactly. These modern women want you to continue to do things for them, regardless of the situation, regardless of if they cuss you out, regardless of if they hold up their end of the bargain. They don't care. You need to continue as a man to keep your word. I need to be free to flow. Promises to me need to be optional. I need to be able to say words and them not have a meaning attached to them unless I want them to. That's how modern women are today.
You're meaning to tell me you can't even cover your own food? The entitlement of this. A man is not required to cover your meal. And if he does, you should be grateful and say thank you. But clearly this man caught on that you weren't worth paying the meal for. Men are constantly told to treat women as equals, but the second that they do, it's offensive? He was treating you as an equal. And the fact you're praising this waitress for being deceitful is absolutely disturbing. He's basically just forced to pay for you. Even though he made it clear when he brought up he wanted to split the bill that he didn't want to. This is why so many men don't date anymore, because they're literally being used for food. He's not getting a second date. We both know that. And heck, I would argue you probably weren't even interested in him to begin with. Because if you genuinely were, you would have been okay paying for your own stuff. This is making less men want to pay on dates because of videos like this.
Dude in the comments said, this is why coffee dates are a good first date. A great, he actually said. You can both drive to a coffee house and there is no expectation of anything while you're getting to know the other person. If you can't carry on a 30-minute conversation, there's probably no point in dating. That's for one. For two, the man would see this. Number three, I'm looking at your nails. They're not. What is that? Y'all be saying y'all getting ready for a man. Y'all be saying that y'all are, oh, I had to look pretty. I had to look cute. I had to do this, and this. The paint on your nails is chipped. So I guess your nails don't count either. So if the paint on your nails is chipped, I'd hate to see what you look like. And y'all want men to spend $400 or $500, and you know, it's a small thing, but I'm just saying, they brag about how great they take care of themselves. And anyway, you get it.
The problem is my dad's never told me no, so why the fuck would I listen to you? Eric's never denied me any of my wishes. My wish is his command. Why would I expect anything less? He changes my windshield wipers without me even asking. Air filters, done. I've never had to do that a day in my fucking life. Done. It's done. It's completed. The task is finished.
Great. So in a situation where you don't have him there, that means you wouldn't know how to change your windshield wipers. Also, is you call your dad by his first name? Okay. Also, this is not how life works. So anytime a man might set a very reasonable boundary, you're gonna take it as a rejection? Fantastic. Also, do you appreciate the things he does, or do you just think you're entitled to them? You don't sound like you're full of appreciation for these things. These things take work and money and knowledge. You not having to do any of these things a day in your life isn't the flex you think it is. It doesn't show that you're some sort of high value woman that men are gonna gravitate towards. It actually shows that you're very undeveloped. And that's a liability.
Well, you would listen to him because y'all are friends. What is this? Modern women thinking they're saying something that makes sense, but it's actually really very stupid. That's so dumb.
Even if she's conventionally pretty, something that will just immediately make her lose all appeal.
Victimhood is her entire identity. Her entire personality is based on how she's been wronged in her life. Every man she's dated was a narcissist. Men know with these types of women, they'll never get peace. It'll always be nonstop drama. Also, she won't be able to take any accountability for anything because she just blames you for all of her problems. These types of women will often cry whenever they don't get what they want, or she'll accuse him constantly of things he didn't do.
Women love a man that cheats or that can cheat.
Can cheat, not cheats. And by can, I'm referring to men who have options, because we know deep down that he's attractive to other women and we find that more attractive. I think that one's kind of weird, but healthy women don't want a man that cheats and will not stay with a man that cheats. And I mean, realistically, the men who are cheating aren't healthy either, so they don't mind. But I hate how you're painting this as women instead of some women. But I do see what she's getting at here, because yeah, sometimes the scarcity of a man that can't be locked down is attractive to some women, and they're happily competing. That's why you see some women who are willing to cheat with men who are married. It's absolutely disgusting. And unfortunately, the default is if a man cannot cheat, no options. Women don't consider his fidelity as loyalty. Instead, they see it as a man of low value, which I think realistically, if someone wants to cheat, they can eventually find someone, even if they struggle with dating, especially in today's world. So I think that's flawed in itself. But again, if you're the type of lady who is driven by this logic, you need to look into it, because you will never find a stable, healthy relationship with this mindset. And that's how you're rewarding all these men who do cheat. And the men that are good, that would treat you well, are being ignored. Keep that in mind.
It's a sick thing, but some of these modern women, yeah, she's right. It's not all women. Some of these modern women, they're so sick in the head. They have these issues and they have this need. They actually want to chase the man. It brings them drama. They've already got, for people like that they don't care. They want a certain thing from the man. They're using the man for a certain thing, and it's not him being loyal to her. That's an added bonus. That would be nice, but he doesn't necessarily have to be, because I'm using him for, social status. He might have money, or he might have looks, or he might be somebody that's great to network with, right? So I use him for those things. Modern women care more about things in relationships that don't necessarily matter versus the actual main reason of a relationship, and that's to love and commit to somebody. They don't care. They no longer care about that. They only care about, is he connected? Does he have money? Does he look good? All of those things are going to set me as queen bee in my little friend group.
You remember when I told you about my dad leaving, how I used to sit at the window waiting for him to come back, and how I blamed myself for years. Oh my god, here we go again. Is this about your daddy issues? You said you would never throw it in my face.
Well, maybe if you weren't so emotionally unstable, we wouldn't have to argue so much. You're not a little boy anymore. Get over it.
And this is why men don't open up to women. I've seen multiple videos going around where a woman is saying that whenever she brings up an issue, men turn it around on themselves. And all I'm hearing from these types of videos is that women's feelings are valid, but men's aren't. And a lot of us know that men's feelings aren't taken seriously in general. But with all these people making these videos, my question for you is, when is the appropriate time for a man to bring up what he's going through or his feelings? Because is there one? Doesn't seem like it, because anytime a man brings up anything, it's the wrong time, because he's supposed to be focused on what you're going through. We tell men we want them to speak up and be vulnerable, but every time they do, we shut them down. And sometimes men simply point out their issues in that moment, because a lot of conflicts are two-sided. Is he supposed to just sit back and agree with everything you're saying and not defend himself or bring up the issues he's having in that moment? As a woman, you cannot expect men to have a real healthy relationship with you, but also shut them down every time they bring something up. I see nothing wrong with this, but can we normalize just not spending a ton of money on the rings to begin with? Or encouraging our men to do that? Because here's the thing, most of us ladies, we do not have the lifestyle where a ring won't get damaged. Even a woman that does heavy cleaning and scrubbing with different chemicals could probably damage a ring pretty easily. And that money could go towards a down payment for the house repairs, the wedding, anything else.
Like, who's suffering more? Like, are you suffering more than me? I don't fucking think so.
So when women vent their frustrations, it's valid. But anytime a man brings up what he's going through, it's him being invalidating. And when's the last time you listened to a man and his issues without blaming it on the patriarchy? And sometimes when a man brings up his side, it's because it's relevant to the conversation you guys are having. Everyone always says, oh, men need to open up, men need to be vulnerable. But no matter how he does it, it's considered invalid. And what I find funny in a sad way about this video is you're doing the very thing you're accusing men of. You're framing men's attempts to be heard as toxic behavior. What I found is this is often not even the case. Some of these ladies just genuinely don't care about anyone besides themselves, or they're even cheating behind his back and he doesn't know about it yet. I say yet because I'm hoping he'll find out. But it's so funny to me, anytime a man's not getting his needs met, it's automatically his fault somehow. It's twisted in a way where it's like, oh, you're not doing enough housework. You're not good at the bedroom stuff. Anytime a woman's needs aren't being met, it's also a man's fault. We don't blame women when their needs aren't being met, but we happily blame men when their needs aren't being met. How is that fair?
Yeah, take a girl to the pool on the first date because one splash of the water and you get to see what she really looks like.
Right? If someone cares that much about what you look like without makeup, perfectly valid preference. Why is it that anytime a guy has a preference, it's shamed? And it's all of a sudden not okay. But women can have preferences about whatever they want, and it's perfectly valid.
If you date men, you will know that they pick the literal worst photos of you to be their favorite. My boyfriend literally has the option of this to be his wallpaper. Or this. Right? Wrong. Of course not. No. Do you know what it is? Do you know what his wallpaper is? He has told me 40,000 times that this is his favorite photo of me to ever exist.
And isn't this like the biggest compliment? You see a photo of yourself that just looks, like you just look like you fell down a flight of stairs, got hit with a sprinkler, your makeup's just smeared down your face, and you're like, oh my gosh, I look horrible. And you're so mad at the person that took the photo because it's just dreadful. But then he looks at the photo and he's like, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful in that photo. Oh my gosh, gorgeous. And you're just like, what in the hell? Basically telling you look gorgeous at your absolute worst. I mean, and this is just absolute proof that men truly do like your natural beauty. Because you don't see men pick those photos that got all these filters on. I mean, in this case, your face is partially covered. But in a lot of cases, men pick the one that has like no makeup. Maybe you just woke up. So how is that ever not a compliment?
Men keep on telling y'all, this is the version of you that I like. This is the version of you that's my friend. Yeah, you look great and fantastic, smoke show, but this is the version that I hang out with every day. the version that I talk to, the version that I really know. That's why they try to get to know you before, so they can see what they're really getting into and if they can vibe with you.
Sir? Hi, sir. How are you? Okay, great. I'm cool. Stop asking girls to send you fucking pics. You fucking loser.
I don't agree with the loser part, but she's right. Don't ask. Just go on her Instagram. Then you can just see half her body anyways.
I hate dating as a straight man. There, I said it. Call me an incel all you want, but I can't take it anymore. Of course women have it bad too for entirely different reasons, but at least it's talked about and acknowledged. For some reason no one wants to acknowledge how emotionally draining dating as a man can be. I'm not even talking about the immense loneliness almost all men feel, it's just that always being expected to be the one to do all the work leading up to the relationship is so exhausting. I'm just so fucking tired, man. I've never been hit on. Almost never complimented. Not only am I expected to look good if I want to have a chance, but I have to be the one to put myself out there and risk being rejected. Do you know how nerve-wracking it is to have to ask someone out, and risk being rejected, taking yet another hit to your already destroyed ego? Well, certainly not all the women my age I've talked to. One of my friends told me, well, I've never been hit on by any of my previous boyfriends. I asked how her latest relationship started. Oh well, he took my hand, then kissed it, then he put his forehead against mine, then he kissed me. Bitch, that's called fucking flirting. He did all the work and took all the risks, but to her it didn't even register.
Which is crazy because, you know, they pride themselves on reading the room. when it comes to the simple stuff, they can't read the room. I'm thinking of a woman that was talking about, how do I have a crush at my big age of 34? Because you're a normal human being. What are you talking about?
I'm guessing that's probably less of a problem with older, more mature women, but younger women seem completely clueless about all the efforts that go into flirting as a man, because they've never had to do any of the work and just sat back and accepted or rejected offers. Again, I'm not complaining about doing all the work. I just wish people realized and accepted the kind of shit men have to go through if they don't want to spend all their existence alone. I'm tired. So fucking tired. I wish it would just be easier.
Men are looking for simple appreciation. That's literally it. Simple appreciation. And they keep on saying this. Modern women like to drum it up and make it something that it's not. But at the end of the day, they're just looking for appreciation.
I am a slave to my husband. I hate women.
Pick me.
I think it's cool to treat people the way you want to be treated.
For women, true feminine women do not want to see their men cry. It is a big turn on.
Unfortunately, studies have proven this to be true, because it causes the woman to lose respect for her man. And I think that's really unfortunate. How are men supposed to be happy if they can't adequately express themselves? Seriously? We need to get to a point where men can show their emotions. Why men aren't asking women out? The amount of rejection men get. Even if they ask out only 30 women in a year, there's probably going to be a lot of rejection there. Most of them will probably say no. They have to get really good at dealing with those feelings, and it's not easy.
Cannot stand when a man gets caught doing some shady shit, when he flips it around on you and gets mad at you for being mad. Now you're...
This is definitely not exclusive to men. People need to take accountability for where they go wrong in general.
If she says this, run. Oh, you're too nice. Meaning she doesn't respect you. You're lucky I gave you a chance. Excuse me? I get hit on all the time. Or maybe she starts bragging about all the guys pursuing her. I mean, if you're gonna be bringing up those guys, why not just go date them? Plus, if she was that desirable, would she need to say it, or would it just be clear? And what is this, a competition? Like, oh, we're basically married already. You only met her last week. Now, if you've been together 4 years and you've got 20 kids and 6 dogs, like, great. I mean, I would agree with that, but she's doing this early on. That's weird. You need to prove to me that you love me, or any variation. Women come up with all sorts of variations about this every single year. So anything along those lines. You shouldn't have to prove anything. You should both mutually want to be in the relationship together and build something together. Be happy and buy Pokemon cards. Why don't you ever post me on social media? Why do you have to validate her publicly 24/7? Shouldn't that come from you wanting to or something? Like genuinely wanting to? And some men don't post on social media often, and that is valid.
You know, these modern women, man, they'll say stuff particularly like that one, well, I gave him a chance. And every time I hear it, I'm like, what? That sounds so stupid. You act like you're a queen or something like that. You act like you're the president of the United States. Well, I gave you a chance to talk to me. It was you that insisted on taking me out unprompted. How do you think that we're gonna go out? You're not gonna come up to me. You want me to come up. It was you who invited me. Girl, that's the way it's supposed to go. You can't hold that over my head because you weren't coming to approach me. I did what I was supposed to do. You didn't give me a chance at anything. I came out here and I worked for it. You wanted me as well, which is why you said yes.
3 times more, or is it potentially more? Like, where'd you even get that stat? And what does enough even mean? Like, what specifics? All of these things are just moving the goalpost. Nothing men do is ever enough. And anytime a man compares women to back then, he gets put down and criticized for it. But it's okay to compare men today to past men. We don't provide the same value we used to. A man can't even say, oh, I want a woman that cooks me dinner, without getting ripped apart in the comment section. And it's so funny how some women go about this. Let's talk about all the things you're not doing and not appreciate any of the things you are doing. What I've noticed is a lot of the women that complain about this type of thing are working significantly less hours, but they also expect an equal division of household work, which isn't fair for him. We're always talking about the things that men need to bring into relationships, but we don't talk about the things that the woman can also bring. We act like men do nothing, which couldn't be further from the truth. And I know in some situations there's some men who do more around the house than the woman does in general anyways.
So a guy, Maddie, in the comments, I think he's a pretty popular TikToker. I think he might be on YouTube and Instagram too. Said folk like to make things up all the time and believe what they're saying. Like she said, modern women always move the goalpost. It's never enough. You know, back to that example of the man buying the woman, well, I want flowers, and if you don't buy me no flowers, then we're not gonna be together. The man goes out and buys her flowers. She looks at him and said, these are only $8. You couldn't have at least got me $40 flowers? Why is that the first thing that you say instead of thank you? A lunatic.
Things you should never ever say to a man. Stop being so sensitive. But let me guess, if he says that to you, you're throwing him out the window, right? You're replaceable, or I could find someone else, or I have all these guys talking to me, or checking me out. If you say that to him, he's gonna start treating you like you're also replaceable, because the reality is you are if you say that to him. You're just like your father. Now, it's one thing if you're highlighting the positive qualities about him and he absolutely adores his dad and has a great relationship with him. That could be different, but don't do it on a negative light. Don't compare him to anyone in a negative light. You're not good enough. Or anything along those lines where you're making him feel constantly like he's not doing enough. It's one thing to tell him things that are bothering you, things that need to be fixed once in a while, but you don't want to do it too often. Because if he doesn't feel like you're attracted to him and like him for him, he's gonna start tuning you out really quickly. You don't do anything around here. Men usually hear that as you do nothing for the relationship. He's just garbage or worthless or any negative thing. He does not hear that in any type of positive light. It doesn't motivate him to do more. It motivates him to actually do less. You're weak. What is the goal of this? And would that actually make you happy if you had a partner that just agreed with everything because they've been told that everything that they think, say, and do in the relationship is wrong? And what is terrible is how many women will go to a couples counselor and the only goal is they're hoping that the counselor will side with them and tell their partner that they're doing everything wrong anyway. So basically this, instead of admitting that, hey, we've got some issues we need to work out and I might be a part of some of those issues. And if you don't have accountability on both sides, where both people end up seeing their patterns, you don't have a healthy relationship for long. But I guess for a lot of people, they don't care about that, right? They just want to get everything they want out of the relationship. It's all about themselves. It's all about being selfish, even if it destroys trust in their relationship and cements the resentment. It's unfortunate that so many women out there are focused on having a relationship where they get everything they want handed to them, over having a healthy relationship with their man and having a genuine connection there. And this type of thing right here is why a lot of men don't want to go to couples counseling. It's not that men are afraid to work on themselves. They're definitely not. They don't want to just sit there and be told they're wrong on just about everything.
There was a woman that did this, and I can't remember how long she did this. Her friend, essentially what happened was her friend asked her to do it. She said, basically, she wanted to do it for some reason. I want my man to kind of see, She basically wanted to whip him into shape. I remember it now. She wanted to whip him into shape. She thought he had potential, but there are some things that she wanted him to do. She wanted him to quote unquote grow up fast. And so she hired a friend to kind of say the same thing that she was saying over and over again. And when he would say something, she would always disagree with it. Come to find out, the man started doing research and found out that they were friends. I think she might have slipped up and he saw them hanging out, or it was something. He couldn't find her credentials or something like that. That's a crime. Both of you guys. Well, I don't know if he's going to stay with me now. He shouldn't. You're a criminal. You and your friend. You should be in jail for that. You don't have a license to practice that sort of stuff on people. Are you joking?
Want to know the fastest way to turn your man into a roommate? Keep telling him no. And then you'll be wondering, why doesn't he initiate anymore? He doesn't seem attracted to me. Men aren't stupid. And the repeated rejection really hurts after a while. He eventually stops trying, even though he desperately wants it, yes. And then his attraction to you starts to unalive slowly. For a lot of men, that's how they get close to you. That's how they get validation from the relationship. It's not just physical for them. And that constant refusal tells him that you don't even want him. And yes, ladies, I understand there's medical conditions, something going on. Just have those honest conversations with him and then start working on addressing those things. And after a while, he might also start feeling like a burden completely. He might think he's annoying or even disgusting for wanting you like that, which no man should ever have to feel like that. And I mean, you want resentment? That's what you're getting too. And especially in a situation where you ask a lot from him in general, and maybe you don't even realize it anymore, you just take it for granted and you don't pay attention or notice, that makes everything worse. Because are you guys in a relationship or are you like business partners?
Men want you to accept a coffee date because they don't want you to know that if they liked you enough and you said, I don't do coffee dates, they would do dinner.
They don't know you. That's why they want a coffee date, to get to know you. But for a lot of guys, if you want dinner and you bring it up that you'd rather have that, sometimes he's okay with that. And usually he has to be able to tell that you're genuinely interested in him and you're not just going to get the food. But this really isn't complicated. Men want you to genuinely be interested in him back, so it's not one-sided. He wants you to be excited about the date and to get to know him, not what you can get out of it. Is this really so hard to understand? He doesn't know you. And this doesn't mean if you guys end up in a long-term happy relationship and you guys are great together, he's not going to be willing to maybe take you on a trip and pay for it or buy you something nice, like a gift or something, if it's within his means, of course. But you guys act like the first date determines the whole relationship. No, he's trying to learn about you and see if you guys are even compatible.
If you like me like you said you did, then you do dinner. Gaslighting. And no, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not. Let's go to coffee and see if we can make it to dinner.
Telling my Latino wife my ex fed me more.
Don't do it.
Sorry, why'd you give me this tiny ass piece? What? My ex would have never served me a piece like this. She knew I was a king. Now, why is this shit so dry? You made this shit. Dry ass cake.
You want a bigger piece?
Yeah.
You want a bigger piece?
Yeah, I need a bigger piece.
You can have that piece. Have the whole cake. There you go. There you go.
See, my ex would have never did that shit. You wild for that. I can't believe you.
Tell your ex to come clean your ass up. Tell your ex to come clean your ass up.
Ah, you got that shit about. What are you gonna do?
In all seriousness though, if the roles were reversed and a woman made this video and he reacted like that, we would be encouraging her to break up with him. We would be calling him harmful, not her, even though she was saying those things. And yeah, I know this video is probably a skit, but it's weird that we live in an environment where it's okay for women to react like this when they're upset, but men can't do the same thing.
Bro, you taking your life into your own hands, bro. Bro, just eat the cake. What if just eat it and get up out of there, doc? Don't start no trouble, won't be no trouble.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Help me, my dear.
I don't know if she did this for like a relationship or what, maybe like a friendship, but either way, it's the same thing. The reality is most people don't plan. They just kind of react to things that happen to them. So for those of us who are a little bit more proactive and plan ahead, it can be a little frustrating. But here's the thing is you do not have to give to people who aren't reciprocating. Ever. And I think a lot of us who plan a lot, we tell ourselves, it's not going to get done if I don't do it. And in a lot of cases, we're right. But sometimes we have to step back and just not do it. Now, you definitely should be doing nice things for your partner, your friends, whatever. But if you're building resentment from it, you need to cut back a bit, because that will erode your relationship over time. And most people, if they don't have a habit of reciprocating already, will not magically start reciprocating. If you're expecting recognition or reciprocation from it, you need to let them know and make a deal with them. Otherwise, that's considered a covert contract. And then when he actually does something, you assume that he only did it because he felt obligated. Either way, for you, it's a lose-lose, because you'll find a way to spin it in a negative light. That's why you don't do tests like this. Also, when you think about it, this is really passive-aggressive. You're trying to control the whole situation, but you're not owning it directly. Why not, if you want to do something, why not plan something? Why not get him a cute little gift? Or maybe ask yourself why you care so much about this specific thing. If you assume he doesn't love you because he doesn't do X, Y, Z, you're going to be just looking for all the things he doesn't do rather than paying attention to all the things he does do and appreciating him for those things. And maybe at the end of the day, he doesn't see Valentine's Day as important or necessary. For some people, it's just another day. And if you already don't feel prioritized or loved in your relationship, him doing something for Valentine's Day is not going to fix the problem. You're better off addressing that directly, whether it's you being insecure or maybe there's certain things that he could do for you in general.